And we kind of hit a rhythm of doing a chapter each week, and that's what we're going to do again tonight. So you can kind of be wrapping your mind around that. Every once in a while, not so often, but every once in a while, I start wondering, and I've heard other people talk about pastors, preachers, this one, all their illustrations come from this, or all their illustrations come from that. Listen, most of us have only lived one life. We have the stories we have. We have the experiences we have. So if an apology is necessary, sorry, this is going to be another teaching month. But I think some people that decide to make a career out of teaching have decided somewhere that their ultimate goal is to be nice. Ultimate goal is to be nice. If they can be hailed as a nice teacher, then in their mind they will have achieved success. I think to most people, that sounds like a noble goal. In our current mindset, it seems an obvious goal. But I personally, that was never my top goal. My number one goal, well, that was a secondary goal. I mean, it's not that I didn't want that, but that just never was the most important thing. I always felt that my main goal as a teacher was to teach. I'm there to do that. They didn't hire me to be the friend of some of those young kids. I had friends and they had friends. That wasn't the deal. They were hiring me to teach, so that's what I felt teaching was. Success, in my mind, was going to be measured by other things than being nice. So I'll give you an example. Each year that I taught, and each year since retiring from public school, I have started a group of beginners. Kids that are just starting out, and kids that had legitimate excuses for not being very good at their instrument. Because they're just brand new. They don't know anything. One of the first things we work on with beginners is reading music. And we start with starting 5. So how many would you assume they got to know right up front? 5, right? It's the starting 5. That's why it's the starting 5. So if you're playing a trumpet or a clarinet, it's C, D, E, F, and G. If you're playing a flute, a trombone, that's pretty much it. B flat, bells, B flat, C, D, E flat, F. And if you're playing saxophone, G, A, B, C, D. Those are your starting 5. We start with those. Now, when I do those, you would think that reading music was important. You would think that. And it is, but it isn't always the most important thing to the kid. A lot of times they think that what's the most important thing is to sound good as fast as possible. That also makes sense. But, as I have said countless times in a band room with a bunch of kids, there's really only one expert in the room. And who do you think it is? It's you. Yes, it is me. So that's not the most important thing. Sounding fast as fast as possible, sounding good as fast as possible, not the most important thing at all. Learning what we're supposed to be learning is what is important to me right then. So every year there would be this conversation. And when I say every year, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, like pretty much every single year, as long as I can remember, there's been a conversation like this. And it always happens in the same sort of a setting. I've got my beginners, and when I teach beginners, I'm not standing up here. I'm all, I'm up around looking at their stuff. And eventually, some kid will come in, and they'll be playing their thing, and I come around, I look at their music, and they've taken a pencil, hopefully, and they've written all over every note on a page. And sometimes they're really diligent and working ahead, and they've gone through more than one page. And they'll write in their fingerings, for example. Trombone players are notorious for this. You're going to write in a number, 3, because that's third position. And they write in 4 for a D, and so on. Okay? And then what always happens at that point is I go in my office or wherever I've got stuff, and I get a big eraser. And I go and I hand them an eraser, and I talk while they're busy erasing the whole page, all of it. And I asked them this question. If you had a little baby that was about 1 year old, couldn't walk yet, just a baby, and you were able to find a tiny little set of crutches, could you teach that baby to walk with those crutches? And they almost always say no. And then when I talk to them a little bit, they realize, well, yeah, I guess you could. So yes, you could. You could teach them how to walk using those crutches. And I said, so you'd have little brother, little sister, 18 months old, 2 years old. There they are, their little crutches, and they're toddling all over the place. They get around pretty good. Then one day you say, you know what? You've had the crutches long enough. I'm just going to take those away now. Now what happens to the little brother or sister? And kids are dumb, but they're not that dumb. They said they wouldn't be able to walk. Right. Crutches are okay in an emergency, but you don't want to plan on crutches. And so I say this business here, writing all the stuff in, that's a crutch. We can't learn with crutches. We're taking that away. That's why you're erasing everything. Don't ever do that again. And if they wrote it in pen, then I take their book and I make photocopies of somebody else's book and I give them that until we get past those pages. Because you can't learn that way. Now, almost without fail, the kid who had written all those things in was doing better with all those things written in. But then when I come along and kick the crutches out from under them and make them do it the right way, they're not as good. So then comes the trust factor. Are you going to trust me or not? Who's the expert? It's you, Mr. Work. Yes, it is. So that if the goal was to be nice, well, I'd just let them do that. In fact, if the goal was to be nice, I might just write it in there myself. Let's see some success as quickly as possible. But that is not the goal. Now, not everybody would agree with me in that process, but they would think you should help them. You should help those kids. Well, see, they're just beginners. They don't know what's going on. But see, my question is helping them to do something that makes today better, but hampers progress in the future. Is that really helping? If I help you and it only helps you for today, but really makes things more difficult down the road, did I really help you? I would put to you that I didn't. If I'm never going to see you in the future, maybe I do that and I get to be the hero. But really, I'm trying to help, in this case, those kids, I'm trying to help them for the long haul, not just for today. And I think the sage, the person that wrote the book of Proverbs, some of them are Solomon, but some of them are other people. I think the person that compiled all this knew that just helping today is not the goal. We're trying to make things better for the long run. And so as we look at this chapter, we're going to see again talking about my son and thinking in terms of a parent and a kid, or a grandparent and a kid. Maybe not a little kid, maybe a teenager, but somebody who's got experience and somebody that doesn't have experience. And so the help is long-term help, not always right now feels good help. Okay? All right, so as we've been doing, we're going to take a few minutes to examine the outline for the chapter. All right, for these 35 verses, there's a two-part division. There's not a three-point outline, as is some of them, but this one's just two parts. Verses 1 through 19 is the first section, 1 through 19. And for that section, we're going to give a heading, Avoid the way of pledges. I'll repeat this a few times, so don't get nervous. Avoid the way of pledges, sluggards, and scoundrels. Verses 1 through 19, avoid the way of pledges, like the word I pledge allegiance, pledges. Avoid the way of pledges, sluggards, and scoundrels. The other big section is 20 through 35. And that is avoid the way of adultery. Okay. Notice in both of these is the way. We've talked about that in past sessions. Now, we're going to take each of those big sections and then have a little outline for each of them. So the first one, remember that's avoid the way of pledges, sluggards, and scoundrels. That one now we're going to divide 4 different ways. The first section is going to be verses 1 through 5. Get free from pledges. Get free from pledges. That's 1 through 5. The next little bit is 6 through 11. Go learn from the ant. Go learn from the ant. Not like Aunt Sally. Like the ant on the ground. Verses 12 through 15 is the next bit. Watch out for the scoundrel. 12 through 15, watch out for the scoundrel. And then the last bit of this first section is 16 through 19. Hate the things Yahweh hates, or the Lord. When you see Lord all capitalized in your Bible, that is the Hebrew Yahweh. The word, the name for God that he told when Moses said, who am I going to tell him? And he said, I am that I am. That's Yahweh. Okay. So that one is hate the things Yahweh hates. The second big section is going to be in 3 parts. Verses 20 through 24 are the commands for commands are a guide for life. 20 through 24, the commands are a guide for life. And 25 through 29, the adulteress, could be adulterer, it's not gender specific in the meaning, but the adulteress preys on your life. Preys with an E, like a bird of prey, that kind of prey. The adulteress preys on your life. And then 30 through 35, the husband will show no mercy.
What was that one?
The husband will show no mercy. Theoretically, hopefully, all of these will make more sense when we look at the verses. Okay? All right. In part 1, and when I say part 1, I mean 1 through 19, we're sort of taking a short break. And what I mean by that is that if you didn't have verses 1 through 19, you would have a long section dealing with adultery, starting with chapter 5 all the way through chapter 7. All adultery all the time. Okay? But this is a little break in the action, sort of a palate cleanser of the instructions that the sage is giving. In this, the first part has the sage calling the son to learn from nature. He also uses a lot of like body language. Now, not like, you have a business course and you learn to read body language. I mean language referring to the body. Arms, eyes, feet, ears, things like that. Okay? The sage mentions some people for the son to be on guard against. And the first one is a speculator. So this is verses 1 through 5. My son, if you become surety for your friend, if you've shaken hands in pledge for a stranger, you are snared by the words of your mouth. You're taken by the words of your mouth. So do this, my son, and deliver yourself. for you have come into the hand of your friend. Go and humble yourself. Plead with your friend. Give no sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, and like a bird from the hand of the fowler. A fowler is somebody that is like a bird hunter, a specialist in birds. So when we think about this passage, this set of verses, and I said about pledges, it'd be easy for us, I guess, to be put in the mind, reading through that, the most, probably the closest analog for us that we could all sort of relate to is co-signing for a loan. Co-signing for a loan. Surety, the word that is here in verse 1 in the New King James, my son, if you become surety for your friend. Does anybody, what's the NIV have there? Verse 1. Security. Okay. So, security is an English word that is easier for more people to understand than surety. Security is a word people use in their sentences in an everyday, right? But surety is actually more specific. And surety is more to the point of what it's saying. So this surety is basically that idea like co-signing. You're putting yourself on the line for someone else's performance. If co-signing is what is being discussed here, could we say, based on this, could we say that co-signing, that it's always wrong to co-sign for someone for a loan? No, it's not. Okay, so it must mean a little more than that. All right? I would guess that more than a few of us here have co-signed on a loan, starting with and probably ending with our kids. How many of you have done that? I have. Okay. How many of you wanted to do that? I didn't either. I didn't either, but I did it. One of them is over. They paid it off. And we're done. The other one is ongoing. And that one I am on the email chain. So every once in a while I get a notice that something's late. And I start calling or texting, and then there's like they're bothered. And back to me being nice. I said, yeah, sorry. I don't care if you're bothered. Pay your bills. You got my name on there now. Pay your bills. Anyway, so we all agreed, or a number of us had co-signed for a child, a family member. How many of you could imagine co-signing on a loan for a friend?
Possibly.
Maybe. How about a stranger? No. Okay, you wouldn't do it. So I think most of us, I think from what I'm seeing, most of us drew the line even before we got to the stranger. And some of you had drawn the line and you're like, I'm not raising my hand, but I feel strongly about this. I'm not co-signing for anybody. I actually support you in that. That's okay. That's your decision. That's fine. But what's going on here, I think, is that there is a sort of a speculation going on here. It's maybe the kind of a deal where the person's like, I've got this great deal, and I'm going to make a lot of money. And you could make some too if you will sign for me. We'll both make a lot of money. And so the son then signs on the dotted line and then comes back and tells Dad, hey, I'm going to make a bunch of money. And then Dad's like, time out. You need to get back down there ASAP. Don't even go to sleep tonight. Go beg off. Go see if you can get your name removed from that. That's what he's saying here. Because what's really being said, or what's really going on, is that the signing for, you want to help, but now you're roped into something. If I were to co-sign, we'll take my kids out of it. If I were to co-sign for a friend and I co-signed on a loan that was like a $500,000 loan, I don't want to like give you the wrong impression, but that would put a dent in my financial portfolio if somehow that guy defaulted on a $500,000 loan and my name's on the line. I would be in trouble. And so Rachel then would be in trouble. If my kids were still at home, they would be in trouble. So that's this surety, is like I'm putting all of us on the line for that guy. And the sage, the Proverbs guy, the wisdom guy, the scriptures say, don't do that. Don't do that. Well, but I want to help. Don't do it. Don't do it. But it would be nice. Don't do it. That's what he's saying. Just don't. I'm pretty sure, I've said this before. No one's ever proven me wrong. I'm pretty sure the word nice isn't in the Bible. Many of us just have this I just want to be nice. Well, good for you. That's fine. But I don't think that's in the Bible. So the guy is saying, don't do that. And if somehow you've gotten yourself roped into a deal like this, don't wait. Don't sleep on it. Go and beg to be released from the commitment. I think it's sort of implied that this is serious, that you can't let this go on. You got to get this taken care of. With my introduction in mind, shouldn't we just be nice and help anyone out that needs it? Well, the sage would say, no, actually. No. How's it going to help that person if you're broke too? I mean, that's really what's getting at. So that is some real life. We said one of the early sessions on Proverbs, we said that wisdom is like knowing what to do in life's situations. Having wisdom in this financial thing, that's kind of a real life wisdom. Okay? And, another thing, most of us were taught somewhere, or we picked it up, that like talking about money stuff in a group of people is generally frowned on. Like talking about how much you got, how much you owe, how much you paid, this and that and the other. Kids are terrible about that. That, like in band, we have occasion for that. So the kids will be like, how much you pay for that? Let's not do that. Because first of all, you didn't pay anything. You're 10 years old. Mom and Dad paid it. You didn't pay it.
Again and again.
Yes. Like I used to tell my kids, I actually have some money. You have nothing. I didn't have much, but I had more than them. So anyway, if it's wrong to if it's like not a good thing to talk about money like that, if you pledge yourself in this way and you tie your finances to someone else, man, you got to talk about money right along. Then you got to have uncomfortable conversations right along. Then if you get the email that says they're not paying their bill on time, what are you going to do? Now you got to be like, is there a problem? Oh, no problem. And now you're upset. Don't do that. That's what I'm saying. Just don't do it. Don't get hooked into that. All right, next bit. Verse 6 to 11. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come on you like a prowler, and your need like an armed man. Now, I never can read these verses without remembering an occasion when we only had two kids, Isaac and Ethan. Isaac's the oldest. Ethan was about 2 years old when this happened. We were in a Walmart or some equivalent store, and we were shopping, and we were in the little boys' clothes section, and I saw these little kid baseball hats, and on it said, Little Slugger. And I said, hey, look, it says Little Slugger, and I put it on Ethan, and he's like, no, he's crying. Take it on, I'm not a sluggard. Because I'd read the Bible to him once or twice. Yay! Anyway, in the previous section, the sage used an analogy of a bird escaping from a trap, and a gazelle from a hunter. Now he's going on to an ant as an example. Even if you did not know what the word sluggard meant, maybe if you had no idea, it's not a word most of us use in our daily conversations, you could gain the understanding of what it means from the context of the ant and the description of the ant, and realizing that the ant is like the opposite. So I don't know what a sluggard is, but I see what he's saying about the ant, and the ant is being used as an opposite example of a sluggard. So the ant has no captain, no overseer, no ruler, no boss. And yet the ant provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. She works ahead. The male ant does too. It's just I don't know why the ant is female. It's just the language. Okay? So he's saying that to be a sluggard is not to do those things or to do the opposite of those things. The ant is motivated to accomplish what its job is. The ant never seems to say, I'll do that later. The ant is not infatuated with its bed. I am always amazed at people that cite research and say with a straight face, try to make the case that schools, would really be good if schools didn't start till like 10:30 or something, because it's been proven that teenagers need a lot more sleep. Whatever. Here's an idea. Go to bed early. Oh, no, that's just crazy talk. Nobody can do that. Go to bed early. What we do 150 years ago? You woke up when the chickens woke up. You went to bed when the sun went down, right? Just about. So, oh my goodness. We want to make so many excuses. Oh, kids need more sleep. They're growing. And I always just have the same reaction. No. Okay? Whether they're kids or not, I can tell you one thing that none of us need more of, and that is, and we don't need research to prove it, we don't need more excuses for our own underperformance. I've told you before, I tell kids with some regularity, I want you to get your work done over the weekend. Do your practicing, get your thing recorded, write it down. Practice your instrument. Don't practice your excuse for why you didn't practice your instrument. Get something done. We don't need excuses for our underperformance. We're good at that. We don't need one more of it. Okay? They need more sleep. Well, here's an idea. Just go to bed. Why do you need sleep in the morning? Like mid-morning. Get up. The sluggard is someone who, among other things, never gets enough sleep. They're probably sleeping more than most people, but it's just never quite enough. Maybe in bed more than the average person by far, but they'd still like to be there just a little bit longer. I'm not that person. I don't like that stuff. I don't think it's a good thing for you. I always hear, people talking about, oh, I just can't get them out of bed in the morning.
Cold water do it.
I'm just sure that I could get kids out of bed in the morning. I'm sure that I could. And when a kid tells me, I just don't wake up in the morning, I have questions. And when I tell you these stories, this is the kind of things that, now my own kids they weren't in bed late. They weren't allowed to be, but it wasn't a big deal. But this were one of my kids would say, I guess you're just better. Okay. In this regard, sure. When I was in school, my mother would come in. She would crack the door open and say, time to get up. And I got up. Well, maybe you're just, Rachel and I have had this conversation before. You're just a morning person. And I say, by that, do you mean like you think I couldn't sleep longer if I really wanted to? Because I could. I'm tired when I get up. So a morning person is somebody that just gets out of bed when the alarm goes off, I guess. So don't be that. He's saying that, again, I mean, is it nice? No, it's not nice to talk about people's sleep. It's in the scriptures. It's in this paragraph of things that aren't really that great. A little sleep, little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. Just gonna tuck in for a little nap. Want to take a little nap? Oh, okay. Well, the sage decided not to be nice. Wouldn't it help people? Wouldn't it be helpful if they had more sleep? Well, I mean, he doesn't seem to care. He's got other goals. Verse 12, a worthless person, a wicked man, walks with a perverse mouth. He winks with his eyes. He shuffles with his feet. He points with his fingers. Perversity is in his heart. He devises evil continuously. He sows discord. Therefore his calamity shall come suddenly. Suddenly he shall be broken without remedy. So it's stated elsewhere in Proverbs, bad company corrupts good character. In verse 13 of this little section, he winks with his eyes, shuffles with his feet, points with his fingers. All that seems to indicate some sort of gesturing or something that was meaningful to them. We don't know. Some people, I guess the equivalent maybe is people that seem to find a way to make sort of a off-color joke out of everything. They always find a way to make something dirty. I think that's kind of what's getting at there. That perversity is in their heart. And so that being the case, it's really not surprising that their deeds are evil. They devise evil. They come up with ways of doing bad things. They cause division. And then the last bit there, his calamity will come suddenly. Seems like it's like not a punishment from God. It's just like this is what happens when you live this way. Trouble finds you. When you act in bad ways, when you're just always devising wrong schemes, trouble finds you. These are the people who the teacher's always picking on them. The police are just out to get them. It's these people. Verse 16, these 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him. Proud look, lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift in running to evil, a false witness who speaks lies, and one who sows discord among brethren. So the point of this little list, by the way, this is a poetic device. It's in other places in Proverbs, and it's in other writings of this era besides the Bible. Like these 6 things and a 7th thing. It's just a poetic sort of flourish. Okay? It's a list of things that God is not pleased with. And the point is, if God doesn't like these things, we should also not like these things. If they're displeasing to God, they should be displeasing to us. If they're things he hates, we should hate them. Okay? Notice their echoes on this list of the scoundrel, the bad guy in the previous section. Also, notice that the list of things that the Lord hates are actions and attitudes, not people. I mean, it's not like, I hate that guy. No, he doesn't like what's being done. So we have to be that way too. We have to practice separating the things people do from the people. Yeah. For a number of reasons. First of all, you're a Christian and you should act like God. And he does that. He doesn't write you off because you did the wrong thing one too many times. He's not happy with that thing. That thing brings you pain and brings him pain. But he doesn't just nah, I don't like you because you do those things. No. And we can't be that way either. Another reason, We are not the judge. I don't like it when people use bad language. Okay, but guess what? It's not your name they're taking in vain. You might not like it, but you're not the judge. You got to separate. You got to deal with people where they are in the hopes of getting them to where God wants them to be. And you can't, it's not up to you to do all that. It's not your kid. If it's your kid, yeah, bump them right in the temple. But if it's not, then you got to understand, people are, I heard today, ministry is messy. People got to deal, and we've got to deal with where they are. And it's not us to do that. The Lord hates these actions and attitudes, not the people. We don't get to hate people. We love people. All right, so taken as a whole, the first 19 verses create this portrait of foolishness. The son is warned about possible losses, about neglect, about bad guys, people, hanging out with. Paul Koptak is a commentator I've been reading. He kind of paraphrases it as this: do not allow your members to become passive so that you're under another's power, and do not let your members become active for evil so that you imagine that you're a power over others. You don't want to be under somebody else's power because you're just passive and not take action. And you don't want to be doing bad things because you think you have control over other people. All right. So now this last part, it won't take as long, but taken as a whole, the first 19 verses, this foolishness, right? So now let's go into verse 20. My son, keep your father's command. Do not forsake the law of your mother. Bind them continually upon your heart. Tie them around your neck. When you roam, they will lead you. When you sleep, they will keep you. And when you awake, they'll speak with you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law a light. Reproofs of instruction are the way of life, to keep you from the evil woman, from the flattering tongue of a seductress. All right, so in the beginning of this warning about adultery is really great parenting advice, and great advice for anybody that wants to learn the ways of wisdom. Keep your father's command, and don't forsake the law of your mother. We have to be constantly learning, Our ears and our heart needs to be open. If we are a disciple of Jesus, a disciple is a learner. That's what that word means. So we have to be a learner. I heard a pastor say today, he was quoting some other thing he'd read, that if you're spending time with Jesus and he's not challenging you on some area in your life, I wonder whether you really are spending time with Jesus. Because he's always challenging us on some area in our life. If you don't feel any conviction, you don't feel anything like, Jesus gave me a gold star again today, maybe you're not paying attention. So we don't have, most of us here, we don't have our parents like we used to. So we have to adopt new teachers. My dad's still around. He's not so much, don't get me wrong, he's not beyond it. But he's not so much giving me instruction all the time. But my mom's gone. She doesn't give me an instruction anymore. So we have to adopt new teachers. For the committed follower of Jesus, that teacher is the Scriptures. And so that's our guide. When we accept them as our Father's command and the law of our mother, they will guide us. You might, and whether or not your actual earthly mother and father were committed followers of the Lord, doesn't matter. Okay? I mean, it was God's plan that they would be, so just assume for now that that's what the deal is. And accept that this could be our guide. But notice the depth of the learning. I'm not just reading the Scripture. I'm not just reading what the Bible tells me. I'm supposed to bind them, tie them. You have to absorb it. If the only time you're spending in the Scriptures is when you're hearing me, that's not really enough. I mean, it's just not. God wants to teach you daily. He wants to work with you every day. These verses describe a lifestyle of being in the Word. If we get to that, then we'll be led. and will be kept and will be spoken to, and we will have light for guidance, and we'll avoid the evil that is tempting us if we bind these things to our heart. You know, one way would be like to memorize, to read it, and, you know, maybe write it out on a little card and keep it where you're going to remember. Or when you're laying in bed at night, to just think about passages in the Bible. And you might think, oh, I'm not very good at memorizing. Well, you're not being quizzed. I mean, just like run through some Bible passage in your mind, even if it's just a story. You know, tell yourself the story of David and Goliath. Tell yourself the story of Noah and the ark. Tell yourself the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. Things like that. And the more you're in the Scripture, the more it's going to get in there. And, you know, if you can just rehearse that's what it's talking about. Like, keep that forward. Okay, last little bit. This is verse 25. Now, I know that I told you 2 different sections, but I'm going to look at all these together. Do not lust. This is the evil woman, the seductress. Do not lust after her beauty in your heart, nor let her allure you with her eyelids. For by means of a harlot, a man is reduced to a crust of bread, and an adulteress will prey upon his precious life. Can a man take fire to his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be seared? So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. Whoever touches her shall not be innocent. People do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy himself when he's starving. Yet, when he is found, he must restore sevenfold. He may have to give up all the substance of his house. Whoever commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. He who does so destroys his own soul. Wounds and dishonor he will get, and his reproach will not be wiped away. For jealousy is a husband's fury. Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will accept no recompense, nor will he be appeased, though you give many gifts. So in these admonitions concerning adultery, the sage gets kind of explicit. He makes a distinction in this first bit here about committing adultery with a married woman, since it's a son he's talking to, and this is not gender specific, could be the other way too. He makes a distinction between what will happen and the seriousness of getting involved with a married woman versus getting involved with a prostitute. He makes the case that getting involved with the married woman is going to be a lot worse. It's not because he's approving of prostitution. He's not saying that's like an okay thing. He's not. But when what he is saying is, you get involved with that prostitute, she's not upset after it's all said and done. A business transaction's been made, and yeah, there are moral repercussions, but it just kind of happens and is done. But with a married woman, since she's married, she has a husband, and now he's upset because he doesn't like being the one that's being cheated on. And so, like, that's where it's talking about people, you know, a thief that's stealing to satisfy himself when he's starving, he's not despised. And then in the next verse it says, however, you're going to have to pay back 7 times if he gets caught. I mean, we're like, we understand, but you still got to pay it back. That's what he's saying. If a thief is stealing because they're hungry, again, that doesn't sound very nice, but that was the way it was. But he's saying, however, if you commit adultery, you are stealing from another man, and you didn't do it because you were starving. You stole from another man something that he's not going to be happy about you saying, I tell you what, how about if I give you $50? Would that make it okay? No, because now he feels like a pimp. Now he feels like he's just sold his wife into prostitution. Now he's really mad. There's no paying your way out of this, because he's saying that he's not going to accept recompense. He won't be appeased, though you give many gifts. Some people get really upset about this. Some people take offense. They take umbrage that you do this. And so the sage is saying, if you do this, it's going to be bad. He says, you you can't take fire. You can't hold hot coals, wrap it up in your coat, and not get burned. If you do these things, there will be a price to pay. There will be a price to pay. He says you can't walk on hot coals and your feet not be burned. You can't play around with this stuff. It's going to bite you in the end. In the final paragraph, he's talking about like the rage that comes from this wronged spouse. And he really doesn't hold back. It's not a pleasant picture he gives this son. He's not trying to be nice. He's saying, listen, I want you to understand these are serious things. And it's almost like the sage is saying, I'm your dad. I might find a way to forgive you, but that guy don't care. And if you mess around there, you might really end up in trouble. It's almost as though that the sage is explaining what I've been learning. Rachel and I like to watch these British mystery shows on television. Okay? And what I've learned is that once they finally find out who did the murder, it almost always has to do with some immorality. Almost always there's some sex involved. And that was what the person that put them over the edge. And this isn't this isn't in the context of the Bible. This is just like life. And the older detectives telling the younger one, look out for the money. Look out for the sex. That's what it always is. And that's what this sage is saying. He already talked about money. Now he's talking about this. And he's just warning that there are real consequences to this sort of a lifestyle. Okay? Well, let's have a word of prayer. Father, thank you for your word to us tonight. Thank you, Lord, that we can read in your word and we can get the straight wisdom. It's not all covered over in trying to be nice, because I know I need to have it straight to me so I understand. Because sometimes if somebody's being nice, I don't get the picture that I should. And I thank you that he's gone this route. Help us to learn to bind your wisdom on our hearts, to just keep your word in front of us and to be daily in your word and be learning from you. Thank you, Lord, for each that have come tonight. Bless them as they go their way and finish out their week. In Jesus' name, amen. Thanks for coming tonight.